Hello and welcome to the Kilowatt Half Hour, a podcast about the world of EVs brought to you by the team at Electrifying.com.
So this week we're talking about Range Rover's all-new electric GT, the Mercedes that's giving us Oasis versus Blur vibes, and the Ford Geely mashup that's breaking the internet. Plus we'll be answering your EV-related questions, finding out what you loved and you hated and you had to say about last week's podcast. Welcome and hello, Vicky. How are you? Mike, how are you?
Hello.
Good.
We're all good, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm just going to kick off with a bit of motivation for both of you, because there's nothing like some positivity, to make us all feel great about the job that we do. So we're going to kick off with a reader comment on last week's podcast from White Walker 9622. I hate this format, a waste of our time and yours.
Oh. I just don't know why I find that so funny.
This has been the Kilowatt Half Hour. Thank you for joining us. We'll sign off at this point.
Let's just end it there. Thanks for that. Really enjoyed this. See you later.
I know. I'm so sorry. I do hope that White Walker 9622 doesn't join us again this week, and I do hope that you don't share that comment. As always, we do read all the comments, the good, the bad, the ugly. We're not afraid of criticism. So drop us a comment, or you can email us podcast@electrifying.com. So what have we been driving and looking at? Vicky, you've mainly been driving a sunbed, I hope, and maybe a jug of sangria. Yes.
Yeah, I have actually done quite a bit of driving I was on a holiday, went to see friends up in Yorkshire, and I took my lovely Skoda Elrock long-termer and loved it. It was very, very good. Got the best efficiency I've seen on the motorway. So I've got sort of 3.7, 3.8 on solid, good sort of 5 hours of motorway driving. So, there are cars out there that do better, but it's not bad by the Elrock standards. So it's just one of those cars that's just comfy, does the job. I can get all of my daughter's stuff in it. And I really enjoyed it, actually. It's just a very stress-free car. So, yeah, it's very nice. Thank you.
Isn't it interesting that you said, you get 3.8, 3.7, 3.8 on solid motorway driving, and yet there are cars out there that do better. And I think in my mind, I was like, oh, that's really good. And I think we all have these different conceptions, don't we, of what is good when it comes to efficiency. And there isn't actually, because I'm guessing what you might think is great in efficiency is not me. I mean, personally, when I had that Renault 5,
dream of that.
I know, right? Like that was amazing. So it's a really interesting thing. We talk a lot about efficiency, and I wonder actually what people really do think is great as an efficient car. What's the bare minimum you'd want on the motorway in summer and in winter out of your EV? I don't know, Vic. Have you got a figure?
It's a good, so I do think that's good efficiency, but I also know that there are cars out there a similar size to the Elrock that will do sort of 4 and above, which I think to me, when I get to 4 or more, that's when I go, wow, that's really good efficiency.
On the motorway because for me, it's just like motorway. I just always think anything above 3 on a motorway is great.
Oh my goodness,
maybe that's just me and how I drive.
Yeah. Saying nothing, but no. So I think on the motorway, if I get sort of 3.2, 3.3 in most things, that seems pretty kind of routine. And then sort of 3.8 to up to 4,
Agreed.
That's when I start to think it's good. But you're right. I think everybody has different expectations. And, maybe I've been chatting to news editor Sam too much about his Hyundai Kona. And also I think he drives probably the most sedately of all of us and is always going on about how he gets 5 miles per kilowatt hour all the time, everywhere he goes. So it's just in winter and everything. So,
but have you noticed how long it takes him to get anywhere, Vicky?
I know.
So I know.
It's hypermiling everywhere.
Yeah. What's good for you, Mike? Well, let's not go there.
I mean, I have fever dreams about it getting up to 3.7, but but it just goes to show. I mean, my Buzz has the same battery pack as your Elrock does. And I did all motorway. I drove up to Wolverhampton last week to visit up to JLR's electric place. And I did 170 miles on a full charge on a motorway speed. So that goes to show you what a difference weight and aerodynamics makes, I guess.
That is almost exactly 100 miles difference in real world range between the Elrock and the Buzz. 180 miles, I reckon. Yeah. Give or take, because I filled up at sort of 6%. And got it up to about 90%. So but it was it's awful unless it's in nice weather. So it's it is what it is. I rarely do days of motorway driving in it, so it's kind of makes up for that. But
3 would be lovely. God.
It would be lovely. I'm going to make a prediction here because I think in the years to come, we're going to move much more to caring far less about how much range a car has got and actually really caring about how efficient it is. I think that is going to become something that's much more talked about, that manufacturers strive to get to be the most efficient. Because I think it is there with some brands, but it's not there right across the industry, is it? The common conversation is it'll do you can 500 miles of range or 400, and actually the efficiency is often a bit of an afterthought.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think we've been pushing for people to talk about efficiency more than range for a long time, because it does get to a point when you've got increasingly cars with 120 kilowatt hour batteries, and you're like, well, that's fine, that means it's got a long range, but I would rather have an 80 kilowatt hour battery and much better efficiency. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, hopefully we'll see that, because we do know that battery tech's getting a bit better for weight and efficiency, so fingers crossed. But yeah, I agree, I think we'll see the language change on that front. Here's hoping anyway.
Yeah. I think, Mike, what about you? I mean, you've touched on the buzz. What else? What were you in your buzz to go and see? Are you allowed to tell us, or are you going to have to kill us if you tell us?
Well,
do you know what you're allowed to say?
I signed an NDA as I walked in, but they've never forwarded it on to me, so I'm not entirely sure what I've signed. So if the big hook comes and takes me off the screen halfway through, then I wasn't allowed to talk about it. But I went to go and see the Range Rover GT, which, as we've discovered, is during that day, is the 5th member of the Range Rover family. So it's going to be all electric. It's the car you took some spy shots of it last April.
I did. I know I did.
Testing, I think, on the M40. And we all thought it was going to be the electric Velar, with a replacement for the Velar, which I gather is going to sort of slightly wither on the vine a bit, because they were very keen to say that it isn't a replacement for the Velar. It stands in its own right, blah, blah, blah. So it's going to be the lowest, I think I'm allowed to say the lowest Range Rover. It's going to be the most sort of car-like Range Rover that they've had. We will look around the interior, which we're allowed to talk about, and the exterior, not allowed to talk about just yet. But it looks like a Range Rover, I can say that. So the interior is going to be as spacious as a full-size Range Rover. It's built on JLR's new EMA platform, which was initially going to be electric only, but is now electric first, which means it can accommodate an internal combustion engine as well. The interior is quite a departure for a Range Rover. If you think of a Range Rover, it's very luxurious, a lot of bling, a lot of kind of buttons, a lot of surfaces and everything. This is really stripped back. It very much felt like a Polestar Tesla hybrid. No buttons anywhere apart from like door switches and the required ones like a hazard warning light and that kind of thing. And I asked them about this, and I said, this seems a bit strange. The whole industry is going back to buttons, and you're kind of going the other way. And said a very strange thing, and said, well, it's going to launch like this, and whether it stays like this, we don't know. So that's a very odd thing to say from a car manufacturer.
Wow. Okay.
Before launch. But yeah, and the usual
preempting the backlash. The buttons are no button backlash already before it's even started. Facelift.
Yeah, so a very strange thing. It was an odd experience. I didn't think it was a particularly Range Rover. They said they go for a different audience, and I think they'll need to with that, because it's quite different.
I actually don't think it is that different. I think it looks exactly like the interior from Jaguar's Type 01.
Well, yes, for a Range Rover, it's different. Yes, yeah, because you've seen inside it.
It's that vibe. It is that vibe, and and they'll hopefully you'll be able to see from the pictures that we're putting on screen now. But it's definitely, if you can see those two images together of the Type 01 interior and. Is that public Type 01 interior? I'm so confused what's public and what's not public about the Type 01 interior.
I think we've only seen sort of disguised versions that you've got.
Okay. Well, let's not put that picture of the Type 01 interior over.
Talking about embargoes and NDAs, yeah.
Okay. Have I said too much? Do I need to go and phone somebody?
No, because I think there were people on this who've seen the same car as you, and they all said the instrument binnacle with the stalks was all from the same as a Jaguar GT.
I couldn't possibly comment, just in case I'm not allowed to. There's nothing to say on that. No, nothing to say. Anyway, so it looks a very nice interior, but I agree it's much more down the lines of a Volvo interior than perhaps what we would expect from Land Rover. And does it have a rear wiper, or are you not allowed to tell us that either?
I think that falls under exterior, so I can't tell you whether it.
Okay.
Whether people, I can't tell you whether people will be complaining that it doesn't have a rear wiper. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I couldn't see one from the inside when I was sat in the interior. I couldn't see one. There you go.
Oh God, I think we're in really dodgy ground now. Let's move on.
We move on, yeah.
just to say that I went for a briefing on this car as well over the weekend of Goodwood Festival of Speed, when I went down to drive the Range Rover Electric, and they suddenly took us into this sort of very hot room at the Goodwood Motor Circuit that was filled. It was all dark, and it was filled with the car that was covered in a wrap. So I've only seen it from the outside under a wrap. And what made me smile so much is they talked about, it's such a car industry phrase, isn't it? It's a white space product. White space. And that their first white space product was the Evoque. And that they've now come up with another white space product. Do any other industries use the term white space? It's just, I don't know, Mike, you're the product guy on the
generally speaking, there's a white space and there's no one in it. There's a good reason for that. I've launched magazines that were white space magazines that no one was catering for, and they died within 6 weeks. So it's, sometimes there's a reason why people don't do chocolate toothpaste, is because nobody wants it.
Electrifying.com was white space, I'll have you know, when we came up with that. It was white space. We're still here. But it was more because I actually thought the electric GT had been around for quite a while. But hey, I didn't realise that it was a white space product.
There you go. That's you.
There you go. There we go. Somebody better tell Zika. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on quickly. And I'm sure we've said too much. So please, let's hope we don't get any heavy legal letters in the post. What else? What are we talking about next? Oh, Mercedes. Should I talk about Mercedes?
Yes.
So but I don't know how much I can say about this. Oh God, this is so confusing. So we're recording this podcast on Monday and the embargo doesn't lift. So I'm probably not going to be able to tell you what the car drives like, other than it was actually really quite fun to go and drive the new electric C-Class, because it just reminded me of the 90s, which any reason to take me back to the 90s is brilliant. And it was all, for me, it was the big thing, wasn't it, in the 90s? What's your company car? If you had a corporate job, what's your company car? What's it going to be? 3 Series or a Mercedes C-Class? And it said so much about you, which one you chose. And I think it's really interesting that at the same time, they have both come back with electric versions, because, of course, we've got the new i3 coming in the autumn. Mercedes have already got this one on sale. And again, definitely not a white space product, but a really important car for them to get right. And I did enjoy driving it very much, actually. I think it just feels the way a Mercedes does. I think there's that really interesting thing for me is the grille. Again, you've got that big grille that they're moving towards with all those lights in it, 100 and odd little pixels of light. And it's just as, all these new brands are coming in with badges that people don't know. Mercedes are really keen now to keep pumping home. We invented the car. We're the original people. This grille is, reminds you of our heritage, playing really heavily into that. But it's just everything you want a Mercedes C-Class to be.
If you head to the website or the YouTube channel, it will all be up there. And what I can also say is it's gone a bit under the radar, but Mercedes has put this on the configurator, and pricing and everything is out there. So we know that this car is going to be 58 up to 71. So it's quite pricey for the 400 4MATIC. But that is for the performance one. So it's like that, this is to the C-Class, this is what the performance is to the Model 3, the 400 4MATIC, because it's all-wheel drive and all that, isn't it? So pricing is out there.
I thought it was a bit too expensive, if I'm honest. I think that could be the only stumbling block. But then I also thought that if people just love a Mercedes C-Class, they love a Mercedes C-Class. If it's the one you want, it's the one you really, really want, isn't it?
It's one of those cars that really does have quite a loyal following. And I think I don't know, I've not driven it, but it seems like it's quite different to the i3. So it'd be interesting to see. And I guess we should also mention they are bringing the single motor version as well, aren't they? Which is going to have a slightly better range and be much more affordable. So that might be the one that really kind of... appeals to people, but we'll see. I'm quite keen to see that video. It'd be cool.
Yes. Okay. So head over there and watch that, which will be up here on the screen, hopefully. Right. Should we? I think we should move off. Oh
okay.
yeah. What are the videos? Yeah,
we should mention the other videos because there's a lot of good content coming our way, isn't there? There's you had a first look at the GLA as well, didn't you?
I did. Yes, I did have a first look at the GLA.
That's embargoed too.
That's embargoed too. Yeah. Okay, but it will be on.
That.
It will be on the channel from Wednesday
evening
this week, the week of the 27th of July. So, what can we talk about? Is there anything else we can talk about?
Talk about the Geely.
Yeah,
Geely, yay!
Geely and Ford. We need to talk about that, don't we?
Oh yeah, we do need to talk about
that. Is it going to be Feely or is it going to be Gord? What's it going to be? That's what we all want to know.
We do all want to know that. So this is the story that Ford and Geely have teamed up, and they're going to have a joint venture on a factory in Valencia, which will build small cars for Ford, which just further for me just reinforces the idea that Ford has decided it literally can't build any cars on its own anymore. It needs it needs somebody to hold its hand, whether that be Renault or whether that be Volkswagen. It does seem that it's not doing cars for the European market purely on its own, is it?
It's amazing.
I mean, I think the Puma's the only car left that it makes that is its own platform, or Mach-E as well. And the vans, obviously, but it's an interesting one, isn't it? Well, I agree. It does seem to be going that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's a sense of inevitability that was going to be tied in with the Chinese brand, because if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, I guess it. Yeah, and I guess it works for Geely because obviously a lot of pressure on Chinese brands to have manufacturing bases in Europe, given the tariffs and given legislation that's come through from the EU. So for them, they get that the win in that. I guess for Ford, again, it's helping them. They're talking about a Bronco being built there, which I think would be quite fun. I think it'd be great to get that.
Bronco is cool. I do really like it.
It's a really cool thing. Cool. Brilliant. Yeah, really super cool, really cool. I just wonder, because Geely obviously own a lot of brands themselves, Lotus, Volvo, Polestar, Aston, 17% stake in Aston Martin, London Electric Cabs. They've got their own brand Geely, got the EX2, which has just launched in the UK, which we have a great, very funny video of from Nicola, which she was really charmed by it. And I just think it's interesting, isn't it? Could this be just another acquisition down the line for Geely, that they'll end up beating up those Ford, those great marks from Ford? I don't know. Interesting to see what's going to happen there down the line.
It is interesting. I think there's an undeniable, we've got to say it, I think it does feel a bit sad, doesn't it, to all of us who remember Ford being this huge powerhouse, and somehow now, who's to say that they aren't still that in some ways, but it is a bit hard not to feel a little bit down about such a big brand suddenly needing to seemingly be kind of propped up by partners from every angle, really. But it will be interesting to see where the brand goes, because I do like Fords, and I actually quite like the Puma and the Mach-E, and I don't dislike their EVs. But it'll be interesting to see.
I really like the Mach-E. I like the Mach-E a lot. I still really enjoy it. It's one of those cars kind of people have forgotten a bit about, I think. But honestly, when I get behind the wheel of that, I do really enjoy it. But don't get me started on the Capri. Let's not do that.
Not the Capri.
Not the Capri. No, it's not. Anyway. So, but also, again, what I thought was interesting from Nick's video of the Geely EX2. So I haven't driven the EX2. I have filmed a walk around video with it when I saw it in China. When I say driven it, I literally did drive it, but I drove it like literally around some cones in a car park. So I don't know if your driving experience was any more than mine, but you, I know, weren't impressed. Nick really loved it, really charmed by it. And I've got to say, I was quite charmed by it when I saw it. But it's just, what I love about us as a team is we never agree on anything, do we? Like, if I like it, you don't.
Well, yeah, we do tend to have quite differing views. I would say that I wasn't charmed by it. I thought at the right price, I think it can be a very good car, but it wasn't something that I thought, oh, I really like this for its sort of. But Nick did send me a voice message about it on the day when she was filming, and it did make me laugh, because she was like, it's a car that your nan would like. I really like it. I was like, okay.
It's true. It's true. I think
true.
about
Absolutely true.
I think about all the ladies of a certain age who live in my village who'll come and knock on my door and say, "Oh, I really fancy going electric. What's the electric Mini like? Or what's the electric Fiat 500?" There, put that on your list, ladies. The EX2 is just a really good, nice looking, uncomplicated, cute, easy to drive. It's not amazing in any way, but as a package together, and the pricing is good, and it's the biggest selling car in China in 2025. So it's got to be doing something right.
Long warranty as well, isn't it? That's another thing. So, and I think it'd be interesting because obviously we've got the MG Go, which we've talked about recently, and which we saw at Goodwood, which looks awesome. So I'm really, so it'd be interesting to see if that how that kind of stacks up against the Geely and all that too. I don't know.
Mike's smiling, Riley. Mike's got the look on his face. He's got that look on it. Come on.
And it's you look like it's not really related to the Geely. I have no opinion on because I haven't driven it or seen it. But but there was a comment last week or the week before about when we were talking about the MG Go, and someone got very upset at the fact that we were just talking about the way a car looked. And if you can only comment on the way a car looks, don't comment on it at all. It just made me think it's a strange sort of approach to, you would never read a cinema review or a TV review because or why have you got pundits at half time in the football because they've seen it. I don't need anyone to tell me what I've just seen. So I was just chuckling at that, thinking
oh God,
in some respects they had a point because we are just talking about stuff we've seen and whether we like it. But
I know a car designer, a quite well-known car designer, who literally believes that no journalist should ever write anything about how any of his designs look because we're not qualified to do that. And really genuinely believes that. So so maybe they have a point.
Maybe it was them. Maybe it was them that wrote in.
Maybe it was them. But there you go. Okay, because we're not qualified. But anyway, there you go. But you can. Yeah, I guess that's a bit. Actually, maybe we should just start doing that because we'd only have to work half the time if we stop talking about what cars look and feel like.
That's a great idea. Let's just
let's not do that bit anymore.
And then we'd also, going back to the initial comment, we wouldn't have to worry about this format because there wouldn't be anything to write about, would there? So that's fine. End it there.
Ah, dear. So let's move on. What should we move on to? Have we got any bargains? Vicky, you got a bargain for us?
Yes, we have. So I've got for you, Elise. This caught my eye. So BYD seal design. Now, do you remember the seal?
Ooh,
We really like the seal.
I love the seal.
Talking about C-Class and all of that stuff. So the BYD seal design, so you're talking a WLTP of 354 miles on this one from an 83 kilowatt hour battery. £332 per month. That's not bad.
Wow.
For that car, is it?
That's really good.
I know,
that is great.
36-month contract, 8,000 miles a year as well. So £2,900 deposit. So I think that's a pretty good deal for a car that still, even with all the new competition, you sort of get in it and it kind of makes a lot of sense. It's a lot of car for the money, I think, the seal. So it's a really nice thing. So my favourite BYD still, I would say.
I think that would be a great test, actually, when we get the C-Class in the UK to drive, is a C-Class BMW i3 and a seal together. I think that will be a really interesting, those three, because we do really like the seal a lot. I think it's a good car.
We do. And the seal is selling pretty well. I see a lot of them around. I've got two friends who've got them now as well, who've leased them, or one bought used, one leased. And so it's interesting. It seems to be really kind of capturing people's attention, the seal. So anyway, that's a great deal, I thought, for leasing that. Used. Well, I know we've all been talking about the e-Niro because there's a really lovely video up on the channel about used e-Niros, which, by the way, I actually helped to script that because I lived with an e-Niro back in the day and I loved it so much. It's still one of my favourite long-termers I've ever run. It was so good. I could get 5 miles per kilowatt hour out of that, talking about efficient health. It ruined me for efficiency forever. So used, we're talking about Hyundai Kona. So obviously the sibling car to the e-Niro. And you can get that for under £10,000 these days. So there's one on the site at the moment, 2021, 42,000 miles. So it's not high mileage and it's 10 grand. How good is that?
Wow.
That is the smaller battery though. So that's the 39 kilowatt hour. So I think if you wanted to go for the bigger battery, then it's 190 miles range. But that's still enough for a lot of people. And it's a great little car, the Kona.
That would be a brilliant car for, if mainly you're doing local driving with the odd longer journey, that would be fantastic. Really good price. And I love now how many great electric cars are coming in under £10,000. It doesn't seem that long ago that felt like it. You know, you'd look under 10,000, you'd have a few really old Nissan Leafs and the odd, I don't know, there wasn't much choice, but now, the old Zoe, everybody's very confused about the battery. But yeah, it was it was excellent, brilliant. Good stuff. Right, let's move on to the questions, because we've had lots of questions into the post bag. You can email us your car buying questions or questions about anything, really. You know, we'll answer any questions you might have to podcast@electrifying.com, or you, of course, can drop a question or a comment in the comments below. So this is from Julian Pritchard via email. Hi, Julian. I watch your reviews on YouTube and generally think they're very good. Thank you. We have had a Renault Zoe Z40. ZE. It's not a Z, is it? But it should be. I like that. Renault Zoe ZE40 for 8 years and are on our second Tesla Model 3. We also have a VW ID4 that is having its first service. Whilst your reviews are very good, I think you're missing the most annoying and costly part of car ownership: servicing. The ID4 has been delivered to the main dealer near us, and the initial estimate for servicing was over £400. I talked to another service agent. The price dropped to 270 plus pollen filter and a brake fluid change. Brake fluid change on a 2-year-old 20,000 mile car? Then a host of add-ons relevant to a petrol car, but not an EV. Other things like £55 to change the battery in the car's key fob. Are they having a laugh? What?
Wow.
Perhaps rather than the continuous praise you heap on the EV manufacturers, you could have a video looking at the downside of EV ownership and compare the ownership aspects of the cars. Thanks, Julian.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think, certainly Volkswagen Group in general. I mean, my Buzz is due a service, 2 years, and the cheapest I got a quote for is 340 quid. And that's to maintain your warranty. So, yes, you can block exemption on that. You can probably get it done down the road with the right stamps and everything, but for cheaper. But that's still that's a chunk of money, isn't it? For not much stuff being done, to be honest. And you ask them what it's for, and the brake fluid change comes up. Because they say, it's the manufacturers of the brake fluid that recommend it's every 2 years, and you can argue that. But this guy has, Julian has a Tesla, and I think they are, they've shaken everything up in terms of servicing. And so much as they don't have scheduled servicing like standard cars do, so you just get a notification to say something needs checking or whatever, and it's usually one or two things, isn't it? I mean, Vicky, you've ran a Tesla as well, didn't you? So it seems far more kind of as required rather than just a routine.
Yeah, so that's it. They have sort of changed the rule book on that a bit, in that you don't have any fixed servicing, like you say. You just wait for the car to tell you when it needs attention, and then you kind of go and get. And often that can be quite long periods of time before it says so. And there's arguments, pros and cons against that. A lot of people say that means the car can become, there are aspects of it like the brakes that might need attention, and it's not getting regular checks. But I mean, you do still have to obviously MOT it after the first 3 years. I mean, ultimately, I think what Julian says is very valid. The difficulty here is that, as he's highlighted, the cost of a service, regardless of manufacturer, can vary depending on which dealer you go to. It can vary depending on what the car needs, how you use the car. So actually trying to give a sort of servicing cost estimate in our reviews can be very tricky, because it's how long is a piece of string. Some people might be happy to go to a good independent after the initial warranty period and this kind of thing. Generally, EVs do have longer service periods in between necessary services. Not all, and we do criticise some manufacturers when they still want EVs in every 12 months and 10,000 miles or 12,500 miles sort of thing, because that does seem over the top. I know what you mean, but it is tricky because it is so changeable.
Yoda, my Renault 5 was due for a service. It's 1 year service just towards the end of having Yoda, and I didn't end up having to do it because they were taking the car back, so they organised it. But it was if you needed a one-off first year service for that, it was £200, which is the same as on a Renault Clio.
Yeah.
So what really?
Yeah.
That was one of the very few to do exactly. But then it goes into a conversation that I was having actually with Andy Palmer. So that we've did a quick response to the Geely Ford news story, which is here on the YouTube channel, and we got Andy Palmer on to chat to Tom and I just to unpick that a little bit because we found it quite interesting. And obviously, Andy, if you didn't know, was former COO of Nissan, very responsible for the Nissan Leaf, and then went on to become CEO of Aston Martin. So he knows quite a lot about turmoil in the car industry. But he was saying that, it's actually, if you look at the cars, then the margins on cars are so slim. They're making, a car maker's making hundreds of pounds, a few £100 per car in terms of profit. And actually what they rely on is that, the dealers, and what they rely on is the servicing. They're relying on those servicing packages because that's where a lot of the money is now in the car industry. So if they start to do away with that and you move to the Tesla model, then what impact does that have for dealers? It's an industry that's built on lots and lots of different layers, isn't it? And servicing is a really key one.
Very true.
Yes.
I think we can both agree that we can all agree that £55 change the battery in a key fob is
outrageous.
I'm now just thinking maybe that's a summer job for my son who doesn't seem to have done anything apart from eat and sleep so far these summer holidays. I'm just going to set him up with he can go on one of those design apps, then set himself up with a little little app and get it on social media, and he can set up a battery changing key fob service. Brilliant, done. Okay, excellent. Dear. Okay, what else have we got?
We've got another one. Hi, Ginny et al. My 1975, not that old. It's my 75 plate Buzz GTX was delivered with the wrong wheels, and it took 2 months to get the all black options delivered and fitted. I didn't curb my wheels once in the first 2 months, but since having the correct ones fitted, I've scraped all of them. The rear near side with a full 180-degree scratch. It's the longer wheelbase, I think. On another note, my Buzz does need the occasional Control Alt Delete, get out, unlock, lock out, get in to reset the Android Auto. I love the pod. The longer the better, but keep it under an hour. Okay. First from Stephen Britt via podcast at electrifying.com. Do you know what? Stephen, don't blame yourself, because I had a 16-year record of not curbing a wheel, and then I bought the Buzz and I've curbed all 4 within 2 years, and it's nothing to do. Clearly it's to do with not driving up curbs, but equally, there's a very strange arrangement on Buzz wheels, and so much as the rim sticks out more than the tyre does. So even if you go up a curb just to kind of, get out of the way of an ambulance or whatever, or park or whatever, you inevitably hit the rim. The tyre takes none of the impact whatsoever. So I was blaming myself. I thought I was getting old and thick, and a bit slow in terms of working out where the car was. But then I realised that it is that, and I've done all 4, and it's really annoying. And a bit of me dies every time I do it. But I don't think it's yourself. I think it is a degree, to some degree, the design of the wheel and the tyre.
Oh, Mike, you keep telling yourself that, love.
Yeah.
You just keep saying.
I know. Last time I mentioned it about ambulances,
it makes you feel better.
I was getting out of the way of, saving lives by getting out of the way of an ambulance, and that's all I get is grief from you.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on before Mike gets any more upset about his wheels. But there you go. So we've got a letter from Mark, who emailed us in. He says, "Hi, I value your reviews and was wondering when you'll be reviewing the Peugeot 208 GTI, as I won't put my name down until I've seen the review from you guys," which I thought was lovely. So thanks for that,
Lovely.
Mark. Real
Thank you,
vote of
Mark.
confidence.
I can tell you exactly when. Should I?
Go on then.
Should we give?
Yeah.
I can be
Give us
precise.
the exact date.
End of September.
Fine.
So not long to wait. End of September, we're going to be driving it, and it's my understanding that we'll be able to tell you all about it at the end of September.
Yeah, so that's quite exciting. And it's worth mentioning we're also going to have a lot of content on the Corsa GSE, which is obviously ultimately the same platform, and I think it will be quite different in nature maybe, but we're going to have lots of that in the next month or two as well. So that could be an interesting one. I'm quite keen to see what those cars are like, because I've not driven either of them. I don't know much about them, so it'd be quite cool to see if they can live up to expectations, because
I think it's they've got to be good. I think it's a really good excuse for us to book a track one day and just get them all in and have a bit of a play around with them. So yes, okay, we'll do that just for you. Literally,
Thank you.
like
Can
we'll
we
get
get
what
an
we'll do.
Alpine A290 as well, because I've not driven
get
that
all-
on track yet. And maybe an
all of
Ioniq
them.
6 then, not driven that on track. Can we just get all the cars in that I would like to drive on a track, and we'll just have a big
Yeah.
track day driving
We'll do,
cars on track.
and we're just doing it for Mark. Pure, Mark wants us to know
Just come on.
what the
I
Persian
thought you were doing
Mark
it
is
for me,
like.
Ginny.
No, doing it for Mark, Vicky. We're doing it for Mark. All the cars will
for
come in
Mark.
just for Mark,
He
just
can
so
come
that
with us.
I think we're being overly generous there, Mike.
Oh, okay.
Well, Vicky and I want the cars for ourselves.
Okay, fair enough.
Right, let's go on to your comments, because we've had lots coming in about the paper mile tax, which is being, I'm so confused about this. Proposed, not proposed. Is it happening? Is it not happening? Nobody seems to think it's a really good idea. So this is the paper mile tax for electric vehicles. And Brian Davis, 6074, has said, New Zealand has had a paper mile tax for a very long time. Pays for their roads upkeep. Motorists display vehicle-specific credit in their windscreen. They buy this credit at fuel stations. Given that a significant number of public charging stations are at the same locations, this could also create the mechanism to credit drivers that use expensive public charging as opposed to cheaper 5% VAT home charging. What a brilliant idea. And then Brian went on to say, was this too simple and proven for Reeves? Probably is the answer to that. But I think that's a great idea. Although, isn't part of the joy of having an electric car that you don't ever have to go to a petrol station again?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
But I suppose they could have it on, it could be a QR code on your charging I don't know, it could just be a QR code as well on charge points. Mike's shaking his head.
Yeah, well, it's all too complicated, frankly. It's just nuts. I think we can't get it to work as it is when you've got to pay every year, every 6 months online. So how is it going to work with QR codes and stickers in your windscreen and everything? Just
I agree.
too
It
old
should,
for it,
and
fed up.
I'm just going to read straight on to the next one. Gary_AU. Those who can't charge at home are already paying paper mile with the 20% VAT on public charging. Could not agree more, Gary, as opposed to the 5% paid by those who can charge at home. I agree, which is why we have been lobbying for a very long time to get that removed. But no, it's not happening because no. What else have we got? Quite a few on this. Have you got one for us, Mike?
Yeah, Ducati Dave B. Says, on the subject of EV paper mile, each year I do approximately 1,500 to 2,000 miles travelling across Europe. Why should I have to pay the UK government for this? I can see some lawsuits over this. Well, I mean, I know what you mean, but if you're paying road tax or VED, whatever we want to call it, you're doing that anyway, aren't you? So we're paying for it.
Yeah, but I think the argument is that if you're paying per mile, then you're going to have to total your mileage and give it to the UK government, and then you're going to pay more, even though you're paying tolls in France or Europe and all that stuff, aren't you? So
I guess so, but it's the same financial transaction, isn't it? You're paying the government to use your car, whether you're using it here or somewhere else. I appreciate there's a distinction in terms of where you're driving it, but
yeah.
How do you get around that? That's going to make it even more complicated. I've got to prove that you've done miles in a different country.
Well, I don't think they're even offering that option. I think they're just saying you've just got to pay it because it's obviously depending on the mileage on your car. So, I agree actually with him. I think it's I think it is frustrating because I do quite a lot of miles in Europe as well. And hey, what can you do? That seems to be them's the rules.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. What else have we got? Should we move on to the next thing? So, what have we got? We've got range of. So, Mike, have we got some comments as well?
Yes, on the subject of EV range efficiency and charging, Gary Wild 6171 says, I agree that range is far less important than efficiency. I use Octopus Intelligent Go, which now has a 6-hour limit. So the most I can add overnight is 43 kilowatt hours.
Oh, well,
Andy Smith 9913, range is important. It's far cheaper to fill a big battery at home than having to use expensive public charging. Agree, range is important, but also how much you're managing to eke out of that battery is surely, more important, is it not? I don't know.
Yeah, it is. But I think that we've had this quite a lot with people commenting on, because both you and I, Jenny, have talked about how there seems to be a bit of a tipping point with people being less fussed about range and more fussed about fast charging and this kind of thing. There's all sorts of talk about that at the moment. But I agree with a lot of people saying one of the problems back to not being able to charge at home is having a longer range car. And then it becomes it's a convenience factor, isn't it? If you can't charge at home. Then that's the issue. Or indeed, if you've got a bigger battery, then you can charge it and you can charge at home. Then it saves you using public charging and saves you money. So there are arguments for the longer range cars, which I think is what Andy Smith is sort of getting at. So it can save you money on public charging and all that. So there are arguments against it, but I still think as the infrastructure improves and as usage changes, I think we'll still start to see a bit of a tipping point. But there will always be demand for long range EVs, won't they? I mean, just look at they've sold all the iX3s they could make in the UK already, haven't they? So it's been absolutely, huge. Understandably, it's a great car. So there you go. So I think there is that demand.
Final one on that from Dogs Bodyish 8403. For a real 250 mile range, you need a WLTP range of at least 350 miles to allow for winter temperatures and battery degradation through use and aging. I think that's not necessarily the case with all cars, but that's pretty good. We would normally say 20% less is what we would say is tolerable and acceptable in winter, wouldn't we, off the range?
Yeah, let's say that.
Something like that. I mean,
something rule of thumb.
I don't think they're far off, though. I think a lot of people, especially with degradation, if you're planning on keeping the car for a very long time, although we know that that's showing that increasingly less of a concern. It's sort of, but there you go. It's
and as we move to more and more LFP batteries coming in as well, which of course can take more of the faster charging. So it'd be interesting, I think, to see. It's a bit early yet, but I think if we fast forward sort of 3 or 4 years to see what the degradation is like on some of the LFP batteries that are out there.
That's very true, actually. Right, moving on we have got quite a lot of comments on DS pricing. So this is the DS number 7, which I went out and drove out in beautiful south of France. I rather enjoyed the car. I'm rather impressed with the 460 odd mile claimed range, but a lot of the comments on the pricing, which was also my sort of jaw dropping when I found out the pricing. So at Mike A. Davies 660 says, I can't believe 460 miles from the DS7. It's a Stellantis car. Their efficiency is desperate. Ouch. Add in the horrendous devaluation of every DS. Not a snowball in hell's chance I would buy a BMW. Fair enough. Well, I think he's made his mind up, hasn't he? Yep. So at Waldemar 10811, 50k for a Citroen is mad. And that's the starting price as well. That's it goes up to well over 60. At Neil Bissett 1240. £50,000 plus for a Citroen. No thanks. At JJ's YouTube, why shouldn't the DS be the price of the BMW? From what I have seen, they are out-speccing BMW and other German brands, and we all know these German brands have reduced their quality on builds and interiors, yet have continued to increase their prices. DS materials and quality often outshines those other experienced brands. I really like DS and want them to do well. I think people need to try them before taking them out of their possible purchases. I mean, I get that. And yes, absolutely. DS is giving you a lot more equipment than you're getting in an i3 or an iX3 or a C-Class or any CLA. It's got so much competition in the £50,000 to £60,000 price mark that the DS number 7 is in. But I still think they're asking a bit too much. Even with the range, I don't think that DS, the brand, has the same desirability and kudos that BMW and Mercedes and Volvo and Audi have, and I think that's a problem for them.
I agree.
But the pricing's a bit punchy, I think, to be honest.
And I wouldn't agree with Jay's YouTube on the quality, because if you look at the quality of certainly of the Mercedes C-Class and of the BMW i3 and of the iX3, I actually think quality on those cars is fantastic. And if anything, I think Mercedes is coming into its own again with interiors. I think they did go a little bit kind of chintzy and just felt a bit tacky, but I think that they've really, their interiors are looking and feeling really nice again. And honestly, I think the build quality on that BMW i3 and the iX3 are superb. So I think they're in a really tricky corner of the market, DS, and I do worry that they just can't compete in it, because like you said, they're just not up there with BMW and Mercedes and Polestar even,
I think that the point here probably is just that it will come down to monthly costs, and I would almost guarantee that DS will be quite a lot cheaper than those rivals on monthly PCP and leasing. So we won't know until we've got those figures. That will be the real kind of make or break thing for the DS. So, which I will say again, I actually really like the interior and, the way it drives, although the steering wheel is quite odd. But anyway, it's all up there for you to check out on the review. I'm basically in agreement. I think the list prices are a bit mad, but we'll see what the monthlies come out at, I suppose.
Are you convinced by Diaz, Mike?
Well, I think it's one of those cars that if you were on a company car and you had a choice and it was affordable and cheap, I think I would take the punt on it, because it's a bit like when we go on a launch and at a nice restaurant or something like that, and there's something on the menu you just think, I would never choose that in the real world, but I'm going to give it a try tonight because I'm not paying. And I think it'd be a bit like that with a company car. And you'd think, well, it's not mine. It goes back in 2 years. What does it matter? So yeah, I think people that's their only hope, really. To be honest with you, they're not going to find any private buyers willing to pay 55 grand for a car.
And on that endorsement, positive note.
Well, they're not. Let's be honest.
I know. I think we should end on a discussion about Batch's trousers.
Yeah,
because we've actually, we have,
as he's not here to defend himself, so there you go.
He's not here. So batch matches. In case you are new to this conversation, he has a wonderful habit of matching his trousers to suit the colour of his car. Brian Davies 6074. Batch's sartorial approach to car reviewing. I think we deserve to be told just how many pairs of trousers are included in the extensive multi-hued collection. Is there a curator, an illustrated catalogue, and a plan to bequeath it all to the nation? It's all going to Gaydon, the Motor Museum at Gaydon. They're taking Batch's trousers in a very special exhibition.
Absolutely.
We could do. And Grizzled HP2 said, please keep holding on to the Batch match. There is too much bad dressing going around already. Something that nobody can accuse you of, Mike. You come a very close second on the sartorial.
Like I've gone a bit boring today. But
I was going to say, I think Mike might. I mean, this is a Mike versus Batch kind of twin test, but I think in terms of the fashion stakes, I'd say Mike gets it. I mean, he's always so sharp.
And you can only see that you can't see the puffball skirt because I've just hung the shirt up. So yeah, and the kitten heels. So just
it's
anyway.
Those kitten heels,
Amazing.
Mike. They really they do suit you. They really do. They just add a bit to your height, and goodness
that's what I need.
You need it. On that note, and there's a question for next time. We will come back up to you and we will tell you exactly how many pairs of trousers are included in the Batch match collection. We'll have a figure for you.
I want to know this as well. He's never told me. I've asked and he's never told me. But maybe you should leave it in the comments as well. Tell us how many pairs of trousers do you think Batch has, and then whoever's closest gets
wins them all.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let us know in the comments below how many trousers you think Batch has, and if you have a favourite Batch match. Do you have a favourite of the years that he has Batch matched? And then next week we will reveal our own favourites as well. So you have been listening to the Kilowatt Half Hour. As usual, we did not disappoint you because it is nowhere near half an hour. Instead, it is more like the Kilowatt.
So a waste of our time and yours. Yes.
But we hope you've enjoyed wasting your time and our hours, and we'll see you again soon. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Is this a thing now that we always do?
Cheerio. I think it is. Yeah, why not?
Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye. Ciao.